Attorney, if I could for a minute, because obviously religion and invocations have been an issue for 200 years. And I think what kind of brought this about is last year there was a U.S. Supreme Court case. And I think a lot of people have heard about the case. And I'm going to maybe bore you for a minute and read parts of that case, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what that case was about and what it held. So there was a town in upstate New York near Rochester called Greece. And 94,000 people that lived in it, a predominantly Christian town. And for 7-8 years, every single invocation that was given in that town was Christian. Every single one. And so, and I'll read that the people that sued maintain that prayer must not be identifiable with any one religion, and they fault the town for permitting guest chaplains to deliver prayers that use overtly Christian terms like the Lord and Jesus and things like that. They lost that case. The town won that case. So there's a big perception out there that the town lost that case, but they didn't. Now, it was a split court. It was a 5-4. So this is obviously a tough issue when you have 5 judges ruling one way and 4 the other. And it is one of these cases where they quote George Washington, they quote John Adams. So this is a 32-page opinion that goes through a lot of the history of our country. And I think what, to me, was some of the important things that the judges stated, and I'll quote this from the majority opinion. From the earliest days of the nation, these invocations have been addressed to assemblies comprising many different creeds. These ceremonial prayers strive for the idea that people of many faiths may be united in a community of tolerance and devotion. Even those who disagree as to religious doctrine may find a common ground in the desire to show respect for the divine in all aspects of their lives and being. Our tradition assumes that adult citizens, firm in their own beliefs, can tolerate and perhaps appreciate a ceremonial prayer delivered by a person of a different faith. And he's quoting from John Adams. So again, this is going back a long time ago. Later on, the court talked about, in rejecting, when the court rejected the citizens' petition, that legislative prayer must be non-sectarian. The court does not imply that no constraints remain on the content. So there is some constraints. The relevant constraint derives from its place at the opening of a legislative session, where it's meant to lend gravity to the occasion and reflect values long part of this nation's heritage. Prayer that is solemn and respectful in tone, that invites lawmakers to reflect upon shared ideals and common ends before they embark on the fractious business of governing, as we just said here.
I don't know what
this very technical here. Well, serves a legitimate function. And the course and practice over time shows that invocations that denigrate non-believers or religious minorities, threaten damnation, or preach conversion, these are going to present issues. Now, that's not been the case in Lake Worth. I mean, I'll tell you right now, what you have done in at least the past year meets constitutional muster. You know, nobody wants to invite lawsuits. There have been letters written, but you have a lot of choices here. So the clerk has provided me some information. Over the past year, we've had over 30 different individuals deliver invocations. A majority of them are Christian, and obviously a wide range of Christians: Baptist, Lutheran, Episcopalian, Catholic, Methodist, Presbyterian, Reform. We also had atheist, and Muslim, Quaker, Moment of Silence, and Baha'i, which I never knew existed as a religion. So this community is very embracing. It does have a lot of diversity. When you look at the town of Greece case, where every single invocation for 7 years was Christian, that was upheld. And there were 2 instances where there was kind of damnation, and the court said, well, you know, that wasn't the commissioners doing that. They don't control. Right. If you start controlling the message, now you have a problem. You can't say the state is going to impose a religion, but you can let, and I think the clerk does this, and if not, we'll certainly in the future say to folks, if you're going to deliver prayer, please, you know, don't criticize others. You can celebrate your own faith. And so what you've done in the past is by no means illegal. So first I wanted to kind of put that to the side. I think some people thought maybe that was an issue. It's really not. There has been a trend towards, you have a 5-4 court. Some city commissions becoming, going to the moment of silence. A number of cities go to a moment of silence. The county does what is the suggestion here. It's only a suggestion, which is rotate among the commissioners. And commissioners have an option of doing moment of silence or praying whichever prayer you want to pray. So on the scale of things, all those are legally defensible and appropriate. And it was just really to start the conversation, and this is, I'll take the blame for this, I'm the one that put this on here, to Do we need a conversation about this? Because we have had issues. I mean, last year there was a gentleman who came who was an atheist, and there was some controversy about that, but he did have his moment, and he's on the agenda to speak, I think, in January already. And so the town has been very inclusive. I only know of a few instances where people didn't get to speak. And if someone wants to speak, they're going to speak. It may not be a message you want to hear, but that's back to the whole freedom of religion and freedom of speech. Now, one thing you don't have in the town with the town of Greasehead is you're restricted it to the community. You have folks from outside of Lake Worth coming to give indications sometimes. Most of it, I would say over 90% of these are institutions that are in the city, but there are occasionally people from outside the city. So the long and short of it is, this is purely a policy decision. Any one of those three choices in this, these aren't exclusive choices, work. You can continue to go with your past practice of having invocations delivered on a rotating basis with the clerk reaching out to the community or people reaching out to her and saying, I want to be on an agenda, and they get on an agenda and they do the invocation. And obviously you have no control of what's being said, and you may like what's being said, or you may not like it, but that's the freedom of religion. Or you go to a moment of silence, or this hybrid, which is a rotating system where the commissioners would rotate, and each of you would have your choice as to giving a moment of silence, saying an invocation that you think is appropriate.
Can we invite somebody to give the prayer on our behalf?
No, not the resolution as it is written.
Right, but certainly if you want to make, this is your policy. You can set your policy how you want to set your policy. So if you want to say the commissioner shall give the invocation or invite someone to speak on their behalf, just change the words. You can make that happen.
I think...
And by the way, there are no temples in Lake Worth. There's certainly a Jewish population, but there are no temples. And I think that Pam gets her list from places that are in Lake Worth predominantly, kind of